What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Super pumped, as always, bringing you incredible guests from all over. My next guest is a personal trainer, corrective movement specialist, body worker, a teacher, instructor, performance life coach, and now an author. Please welcome Matt LaBosco. Matt, that's a long list of things that you do.
Well, it's been quite a journey, right? We when we're working on ourselves first, the list is long.
That's right. I think that in order to live our legend in life, we have to go after everything that sets our soul on fire, where we know we can make an impact.
Amen.
Mic drop. Woo! Well, thank you for being here today. I forgot to say that. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I think our lifestyle and belief system is pretty much in alignment. Because I'm a personal trainer, I'm a certified life coach. I used to do bodybuilding, but I'm very much into wellness, health and wellness.
This will be a fun conversation then.
For sure. So the last 20 years of your life, this is what you've invested your time in this laundry list of expertise that you have. But prior to that, you had undergone some traumas to the body. And I guess that's pretty much what spurred where you are today.
Yeah, well, I was a 3-sport athlete, and and one thing I think is important to note that I grew up in the medical model. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse practitioner. So I really, there's obvious perks to being directly, plugged into the world. But there were also things I learned a lot about that world through my process of just being a kid and being an athlete. And so I played basketball, soccer, and baseball. And by the age of 22, I already had 5 orthopedic surgeries, and I had turned down 2 and then a third one later. So to say that the body was having an experience would be an understatement. But what did that trigger is really, the question, right? It really started in my orthopedic surgeon's office when I just was working out with a buddy of mine, Upper East Side, New York. We were going for a PR on the military press. And this is when I was definitely, as I like to call myself, because I'm from Jersey, so I'm allowed to say this, I was a little Jersey meathead. And, we were doing military press and we were going for a PR. And, I was pressing a good amount of weight at that time. And, it was one of those days where we're going for it. And it was kind of like this point in my journey where it's like, oh my God, I had to stop playing baseball. I had to stop playing soccer. And then I had to stop playing basketball. And so I went deep dive into, I need to get my body strong. And so I went to every guru on the planet, strength coach. My wife and I have moved 17 times since we've been married, 16, 17.
Holy cow. That's
yes,
great.
I was on a mission to get answers, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I finally have arrived. I've gotten the strength, I've gotten the power, and I'm going to prove it on this lift. This is going to be amazing. Kind of this moment for me. And so I rack this baby off. I press it overhead. My buddy helps me, encouraging worlds, rack it. I'm like, wow, I just did that. Took 3 steps away from the bench, Deanna, and my whole right arm went, and I couldn't move.
No.
Could not move. It was almost as if it was dangling there. And I had to take my other hand. You can actually still see my right hand, for those of you that, So the pain was beyond what I could even, it was awful. So fast forward, I had my orthopedic surgeon's number on speed dial at this point. So I call him up. I'm like, surgery tonight, tomorrow, my elbow's exploded. I don't know what I did to it, but some major damage. And so he gets me in. I go in, get the evaluation, get the x-rays, get all the tests done. And this was the thing he said to me that changed my life forever, because it set me on this path. And he said, came into the room and he said, your x-rays look good. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Get out.
Excuse me? Wait, is there somebody else in the room? Because
what the hell?
You can't be talking to me, right?
Yeah.
And so what hit me in that moment, for whatever reason, was, oh my God, they don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Right. And as I say that out loud now, it's 20 years later. It's like, yeah, I think a lot of us have come to this conclusion by
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. You're a guinea pig when you go into the hospital for
Yeah,
something.
exactly. And so I just started this path of questioning everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything that the health model is based on.
Yeah.
So I just started asking all the why questions to what I would say are some of the just accepted foundational beliefs of what keeps us healthy. Things like strengthen your core to keep your back strong. Hey, you need to be flexible and you need to be strong. Or, hey, eat salads because they're healthy. Oh, you know what? You really need to avoid and mitigate stress. Like those are all things that keep you healthy. And I was like, well, and so I just started asking, well, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What are we trying to accomplish? And what I found was that most of the health paradigm, well, first of all, let's define what health is and what the objective is, because I think this is important. And I've heard you say this on some of your shows. So when you said we're right there, I'm like, yeah, we are. Health, the state of being free from illness or injury.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying for. That's what we're shooting for in our culture and our society. And it's like, please tell me there's something more.
Well, people with a good mind are shooting for that. Most people are taking 10 different types of medications because that's all they will prescribe you. They won't tell you to live a healthy life or how to live that healthy lifestyle.
But what's interesting about health, though, is health is the state of being free from illness or injury. Like, I don't want to live a healthy life. That's the last thing I want. I want more than not being sick. Is my point.
Yeah.
If that's the utopian reality of not being sick, like, please tell me if there's another option here. Sure. And so I started to play with this word or this idea for quite some time of vitality. It's like, well, forget health. Yeah. I want vitality. And so vitality, exuberant physical strength or mental vigor, the capacity of the continuation of a meaningful and purposeful existence, the power to live and grow. Sign me up for that. Screw health. And so what I did was I said, I'm going to just forget everything I think I know about health, and I'm going to start over.
I love that.
And that's kind of what triggered this journey. And I took an extraordinarily deep dive into physical, like all of the things we were taught, Deanna, when we took our certifications and we got personal training, all the things, all the strength coaching, all the things I did. I basically said, I'm going to forget about all these things they told me, and I'm really going to start from square one and really ask, what am I trying to accomplish here? And why have I been told the things I've been told? What is it based on? What are the principles of this? Yeah. And so I did that in the physical realm. I did it with the systemic realm. So obviously nutrition. And then this last 10 years, I did a super deep dive into personal development. Was a part of a personal development organization for the last 8 years, and really did the same kind of hands-on research. And what I found was that all these principles that we're basing this healthy model on, number one, will never create vitality ever.
Right.
And number two, will create dependency on the system. That's what it does, right? It's round and round we go. And so, when it comes to the physical body, one of the principles, it's because really my journey started, one of the principles that I realized that all of fitness and rehabilitation models were built off of was this idea, we're all taught cadaveric anatomy, meaning, bicep originates here, inserts down there, flexes the elbow, hamstring flexes the knee. And then we go and create programs based on the hamstring flexes the knee and the bicep flexes the elbow. The problem is that's on a cadaver. Yeah. When you're actually moving around in the world, that's not what the bicep and the hamstring are doing. No. Not even close, right? And so it's like, so then the question is, well, what is it doing? And that was not an easy answer to find because there's a lot of people that didn't have the answer. Yeah. It's like, all right, I'm rehabilitating a baseball player that pulled his hamstring playing baseball. Am I going to stretch his hamstring, strengthen his quads, and then put him on leg curls and do bridges and clams? And it's like, why am I doing this? This makes no sense. None of these things look anywhere close to what this gentleman needs his hamstring to actually do. Yeah. And there wasn't a lot of people that could tell me, well, what is the hamstring doing when he's running to first base. Oh, by the way, he's a catcher too. So what is the hamstring doing when he catches? And oh, by the way, when he plays a second base sometimes, what's his hamstring doing when he plays second base?
Sure.
Well, all of those things are different answers.
Yeah.
And so what I learned was, and I didn't figure this all out myself, I've studied with incredible mentors, which is why I traveled all over the country. I call myself a mentor junkie. But I found people that had answers, right? And I would go anywhere to meet with these people and learn from them. But the question is, when someone what I learned was, someone pulled their hamstring, the first question you got to ask is, what position of motion were you in when you pulled the hamstring? Yeah. Were you popping up as your catcher to throw it to first base and then you felt your hamstring? Or were you sprinting to first base and then pulled your hamstring? Yeah. Because depending on the answer to that question dictates how you would address it. Sure. Does that make sense? And so anyway, this was all just like mind blowing to me as I was learning this. And obviously I was doing it for me first because I was falling apart, told never throw a baseball again and, all the things. So anyway, that's where my journey started.
That's an amazing journey. So where are you in your movement with your body today?
And I know this can sound cliche because you'll hear it, but I can honestly tell you, and if I showed you pictures of me when I was 22, 23, 24, you'd be like, dude,
yeah,
you were shredded. You look great. But from a vitality standpoint, I am able to do more at 44 than I was able to do at 22. So, like not even close.
Yeah. So my late husband, huge bodybuilder. On the outside, people are like, oh my God, you look great. But on the inside, he passed away because he couldn't stop taking the steroids and he needed his third kidney transplant. And along that journey, I was with him for almost half my life at that point when he passed, was, together 17 years. He probably was the most unhealthy person that I had ever known, and only because he wanted this outside physical appearance, but he had torn like, different muscles. And I don't even remember at this point, but like, but so like you, I'm in a better shape now than I've ever been in my life. And I'm 46, I still lift very heavy, but I reach but by when I start lifting heavy, it's after I've warmed up completely. I've made sure I've stretched out my body and that, because I don't want to get an injury. Mm-hmm. My fiance now, like he starts going at it. I'm like, can you please not do that? You're not a young chicken anymore. You gotta you gotta warm up, stretch out. Cause what are you going to do if you tear something, like you really have to be mindful of that.
Yeah. The reason you have to be mindful is because the exercises we're told to be healthy are not good for us. So to your point, if you don't warm up, if you don't stretch, if you don't go slow, the very things we're doing to be healthy actually are not great. So we have to take all this precaution to execute on things we shouldn't really be doing to begin with, unless, Deanna, we are looking to compete in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You follow me? Because there's only one way to get to look that way. And it's to do those things. But I would say that the majority of the population, they're not trying to win a bodybuilding show.
No. But so for me, though, as women should lift weights because it prevents osteoporosis.
Oh, I'm not saying there shouldn't be resistance training at all. What I'm saying is this health fitness model of chopping body parts up into here's my analogy. It's like an orchestra. Okay. If I was a conductor of an orchestra, and I took every musician with their instrument and I isolated them in a room and I said, all right, tuba, we're going to get you playing as loud as possible. Yeah. Okay. Now, percussion, let's get you going super loud. Let's get you really getting this cranking away. Then I take my, my strings and I'm like, all right, guys, I want you to play really loud. Get it going. All right, come on. Yeah. And then we're going to put all you guys in the same room and then we're going to ask you to make music.
Yeah.
Good luck. Sure. That's a lot of noise, right? And so that to me is the current model. And now don't get me wrong, there are some incredible practitioners out there that are learning how to, I would say, either integrate actual movement, real movement. I think of there's a movement paradigm and an exercise paradigm, and there's incredible people out there doing really great things. At the very least, they're making sure that when we do get the tuba to scream, that we're taking some consideration to, well, now you got to play with the strings here, so don't go crazy.
Yeah. So what kind of exercise routine do you implement now?
Yeah, I mean, it's movement. Okay. And I know that word is another word that gets thrown around out there. But my base foundation, and this is all in the book really, is like, it's all foundational movements based. So even if I was training a high level athlete, we would all start with foundational movement patterns. And when I say foundational movement patterns, I am talking about lunging, squatting, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But not an exercise lunge and not a movement and not a exercise squat, right? So just to define an exercise squat, you put the bar on the back, your spine is straight, you go straight down, you keep your toes and your knees, and there's all rules. There's lots of rules, right? Yeah. Movement squat is literally, I could demonstrate it if you want it, but it's literally like bending over and spine flexes, head flexes, you look where you're going and you reach straight down. And you can do that under heavy load. Now, the traditional paradigm says, don't flex your spine.
Yeah.
Terrible. Oh my God, keep it in, hold your gut, squeeze your butt.
Yeah.
It literally creates dysfunction. I have rehabilitated more spines, Deanna.
Well, can you
literally just teaching people how to do that movement squat?
Can you show us, like, so on YouTube?
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure. So
you guys that are listening, maybe go over to YouTube if you want to see what this looks like.
Yeah. So you got it. So exercise squat. Just I know you can't see my head, but I don't think it matters.
That's okay. No.
Yeah. This is exercise squat.
Right. That's traditional. Yeah.
And I would say the only place on planet Earth you'd see someone doing that would be in a gym.
Right. Correct.
Right, because it's exercise land. A movement squat is here.
Oh, okay. Right? And so are you're using weights doing that movement?
Oh yeah, I mean, my athletes could have 30-pound dumbbells, sometimes more,
in their hands and lifting up from the ground up.
Yeah, so it would basically look like if I had dumbbells here, I would place them here.
Yeah.
Use my legs to come up and stand up.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I've never seen that before. That almost like a low row.
Again, if we try to take exercise language and describe movement, it gets a little tricky. And so this has been I'll call it the challenge, but with challenge comes opportunity. It's like, when I teach this, and I used to teach professionals and practitioners this, it's like we have to say, okay, you're going to use this word. What do you mean by it? What does strength mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I don't want to go down such a huge route. We can literally, I know you and I could probably talk for hours about this.
We could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I tried to create a platform so that we as professionals could have a conversation and actually knew what the other person was saying. You follow me? Because you're right. There is a rowing action to that you could put into it. Sure. Right. But a squat, in the way that I'm defining it, is just defined as a vertical collapsing.
Sure.
Lunging, you bring in the horizontal.
You're still using quite almost all your body parts in that type of lunge. It's just a different type of rotation movement slash action that you're doing.
I would say the goal is to share the load equally through the system, because it's the way the system was designed. Like classic, when someone would see us doing this in the gym, what do we call this when they're curling?
Oh, they're doing the rock.
The wrong technique, right?
Yeah.
It's actually what the body would prefer to do, because it's like, well, why would I just want him to do all the work? Why don't I use everybody to get this weight up off the ground? It's literally our instinct, because it's how our system was designed to work. And across the board, not just with movement, our system has us fighting against ourselves. And it's mind-blowing, but I'm very clear why everybody's in the state of health they're in, because our system has us at war with ourselves. It's wild.
So, with that being said, who is your ideal client / I don't know, patient, or
you have to be careful of that word, don't you? My ideal client, Deanna.
Yes.
I mean, I give you the general answer, but it's like anybody who is no longer willing to tolerate what the traditional model is telling them is possible. So that would be my.
Yeah.
But where do people, like at the beginning, it was people that had back pain, shoulder pain, were told they needed
rehabilitation.
That was how put me on the map by far. Okay. I had people traveling from the country. They still do here to Florida. I'm not doing as much of that now just because it's wickedly high amount of manual labor to do some of the work that I do. So I teach a little bit more now. But definitely people still seek me out for the injury stuff. Sure. And then the other place I work with is in, because this whole mindset and psychology thing, which could be a whole nother conversation we could have.
Well, maybe we'll have to have a part 2.
Yeah, that this whole theme, Deanna, that I'm speaking to, that I found in the exercise and movement world, I found it in the nutrition systemic world, and I also found it in the mindset psychology world. And so the two places I primarily work with people now are the re-injury, teaching people how to move and sustain like healthy movement. Yeah. And then in, I'll just call it like people with relationships trying to navigate their, just life things. That's kind of the life coaching part of what I do. Yeah. I still do some work with people in the systemic space that have, different systemic issues, but my wife specializes that and more. So she does the hormones and the women, and she's amazing. We studied that for a while together for about 5 or 10 years with, but she just kept going. Sure. I jumped into the personal development because I was on this mission to kind of what I call the trilogy of vitality, and a lot of practitioners
out connected, really.
Exactly. So I was like, I really want to understand all 3 of these components: the physical, the systemic, and the mind. And so I work more with the physical and the mind. My wife, she's amazing. She does most of the systemic stuff, and she specializes with women and hormones because that's what she struggled with inside of the traditional model.
Sure. That's amazing. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more, Matt?
The easiest place would be my website, just MatthewLaBosco.com. I'm starting to get more active on social media, but I'm, I gotta embrace that piece. So I'm starting to do, so I do have Facebook, Matthew LaBosco, Instagram, Matthew LaBosco. But my website's probably the best place. Have a blog. So, and then my book's coming out in December. So,
what's the name of your book?
It's Health to Vitality.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to get myself a copy. Well, Matt, I definitely think we might have to have a part 2. This is a pleasure talking to you. I love what you're all about. I'm all about that vitality and, making sure that we're always evolving to be better. I think that's really what it's all about. This is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What are you going to leave with us today?
Don't settle. Don't settle for anything less than you think is possible for yourself, whether it's your health, what you want to know in your life, what you want to create in your life. And then that's number 1. And then number 2 is start going after what's most meaningful and most purposeful to you. Don't chase emotions. That would be my advice to people. Don't chase happiness or, feeling peaceful. Chase meaning and purpose. Because when you're living a life of meaning and purpose, the byproduct of that is fulfillment, happiness, and joy. And then you can actually learn how to integrate these emotional communications to create more purpose and meaning in your life.
Woo! Mic drop. That was awesome. Totally agree. Amen, brother. Oh yeah, that was awesome. Well, Matt, it was a pleasure talking today, learning about what you do, your journey, getting to where you are today. I think to have someone that is a little bit more evolved in their thinking behind health and wellness to bring vitality is really key to our longevity here on this planet. I talked to someone a long time, probably about a year ago. He was a guest. I don't know if I've released him yet or not, but he said that, aging they consider that a disease. In some parts of the world, they're trying to come up with cures on how to prevent aging. And I think it starts with that vitality piece. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you might find in a lab, you do have to have that, that part to make that happen.
For sure.
All right, Matt, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a guest. We will have to keep in touch and have you come back after the book has released.
Awesome. Thanks, Deanna. It's been so fun.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.